In the second video, we identified some outliers and we looked at it and we talked about it. I didn't do the percent count. I mean, it was 12 out of 850. The total paid, we did calculate that. That was 40%, I believe. Yeah, it was right around 40%. So the really big question that really gets things going is number four. That's where we're at. We're at number four. We're in video three. How is the safety program performing? The big question. It's, how's the program performing is kind of the fundamental. But then after that, we have to then uh, tell management where the issues really are and how much money we could save if we were to study them and find out what's going on. So again, the table isn't going to look the same, but it's going to be similar. So let's go in. And as you recall, this is where we ended last time. Big enough to see. This table here, this was only a visual assistance for figuring out where to cut off the outliers, if you will. And so we're not, you would not express that. You could explain how it was used in a way, but it's a visual. It's not real scientific. It's just something I came up with. It seems to work. I mean, it's really what it comes down to. I've played around with it quite a bit, and that's the best I can say. Do you remember the first video? I talked about this percent right here. Hit return, it's going to come in. So it's about 6.7% is the max. Remember, I'm like, oh, that seems a little bit high. Is that what it was before? 6.7, yeah. Well, look at now after we move the outliers, it's just 2.6. That's nice. So the most expensive claim after we move the outliers is only 2.6%. It's 2.6% of the total. It doesn't have a lot of influence then when we start doing the percent severity and stuff like that. So I got to get to a new tab. Highlight everything by touching the apex. Control C to copy. Saturday Night Fever going on around the thing. I open up a new tab. It starts on A1. I hit Control V to paste. And what I can do is I'm going to get rid of these rows because the data was copied and pasted. So highlight that, right click, go to delete. I do housekeeping of my data sets just because I like to have it clean. So here's the original stuff. At this point, I don't need this table anymore. It's on the last screen. I brought it over here. It may be interesting to keep the old and the new. Oh, I gotta zoom in. I hope you saw how I did that. I highlighted it. I highlighted the cells and then I went up here to this cool box thing. You should know how to do that because that's something that you have to do for like when you do your resume and stuff like that. Do a little box thing. Yeah, I'm sorry that I'm always doing so much cleaning. It's just that's how I roll. So the question is, how is the safety program performing? Now what you're going to see is I'm typing in here by year because that's what the analysis is. We're going to trend things. So we're going to do some sorting by year. Let's go right up here and where's our year? I was being facetious. Right now it's actually sorted by most expensive paid because that's what we had before. So I actually knew that. I just wanted to show you that sometimes you have to mess around with this stuff. So bottom right, drag it. If those tables weren't at the bottom, I could just use that filter thing, but unfortunately no. Oh, what do I do? Do I do shift back one? Yes. Data sort, I'm going to sort by date of loss, which is column A. Date of loss, oldest to newest, go. We know it's January 7th, 2008 through September 13th of 13. Again, it's an older data set, but that's what I'm using. So we do not have a year. I have to create it. So I click on this column, right click, hit insert, and this is going to be my year code. I have to basically enter it manually. It's something that you're given this data and you have to then sort it and reclassify it as needed so that you can use it. Oh, isn't that wonderful? It thinks it's something else. It thinks it's actually a date. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to highlight the whole thing. I'm going to right click it. Sometimes Excel can be a little bit frustrating. All I want is a general number. And I got it back. Now, I'm going to type in 2008 twice, and then I'm going to try to highlight both and then drag it and hope it doesn't get bigger. Yeah, you see here on the just right of the cursor, it tells you what it's going to put in that copy paste. So now I'm just going to scroll down. You see, I'm looking at the months. So I'm in June, July, August, September, October, November, December, and I went past it. So I go all the way to December 30th of 2008. I let up on the button and it transferred 2008. Now I type 2009. I usually do it twice or three times so that Excel doesn't pick up a pattern. So I can click and drag. So I've got 2009, and it is going to keep it going. So again, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, and stop on the 28th. Do this again with 2010. Again, if you just type, you know what I'll do on the next one? I'll type one in. I'll show you what it does. Okay, 2010. I'm not going to read the months to you because I'm sure you're sick of that. Okay, so 2010. So 2011. Now let's see what happens when I click and drag. It should go up. Okay, it didn't. It does sometimes. I'm just telling you. And 2011 looks a little bit longer than the others, but we'll figure that out in a little bit. Okay, 2012. Let's see if it does it. It's too bad that we have to do it this way, but this is how I taught myself, so that's what you get. We're going to have some important lessons on this one here. I'm going to show you what I mean in here in a moment. Okay, 13. Okay, so the year is under column B, and we need to create a representation of what's going on here. Now I've got all this data here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it down. I'm clicking on the row, and I'm right-clicking and going Insert. I know it's going to move everything down, and then I go Control Y for repeat. It's kind of nice that it left that for me, right? So I need to do the years, which are, I'm going to leave one space there. So I'm going to type year, and then I'm going to type, actually, no. I don't need all the, well, I'll do all the individual stuff. That's all right. 2008, 2009, 2010. I am just losing it here. Man. 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, those are all the years represented. Now, let's, I'm going to shorten this. Sometimes when you set up the data table beneath, you have to finesse it a little bit to make it work for you. And I'm going to move it one back. That made me jump. Okay, Control X to cut, paste to move. Thank you. And you can go to home and center it because, again, I can't help it. So count. How many? These are the number of claims. So maybe I shouldn't call it count. Let's call it number of claims per year. To do this, I need to zoom it in. Now, in class, we're going to have an expert come in and they're going to show you how to use pivot tables. I do everything manually. So for number of claims, of course, I have to bold this first because problem with me. Here's what we do. We know that it's column B. We know that the rows go from 2 to 839. How do we know that? Because I can just kind of scroll up here and see it stops at 839. Remember, I deleted the top 12 because they were removed as outliers. They're down below. They're no longer going to be counted at this point because they would skew things. And I could actually go back and show you that if you wanted me to. I might do that. 839. So we have 838 count plus 12, 850. That's the original count. So here's what I'm going to do. Equals count if. This is something we had used on the first tab. I got to name a range. The range is B2 to B839. Now we can't see it lit up because I'd have to scroll back over to show you. See, it's the years. I typed it in. Now I have to give its criterion. Its criterion, I'm going to click on this cell. It's 2008. It counted 143 of them. Now I could type that 5 more times. Or what I can do is I can set it up so that it automatically changes. Now, as I drag it down again, it's going to move within the page. Now, I'm not moving left or right, so I don't have to block the row. I'm sorry, the column, but the row I do. So I need to put a dollar sign in front of the 2 and a dollar sign in front of the 839. So then as I drag it down, it still keeps that same the same ranges, and it'll move everything else. So it's just moving, what it's supposed to match up as far as year, and I get that. Again, it equals 138, so what I need to do is total it. I gotta check my math. Equal sum. I'll just go up here and click and drag, and I hope it equals 838. It did. So I know it's correct. Or I know that I haven't done anything wrong. And now I'm sorry everybody, I'm using my laptop for this video and it doesn't want to play nice. So now let's find out what the totals are for what's being paid. So we're doing these amounts. I'm just going to copy and bring it down. And I really should, indemnity paid. Paid. And you might go, well, it seems kind of off. Well, I can also just reduce the font size is at 10, so I really can't. Can bring that down a little bit, and what I could do is highlight these. Here's another thing we can do. We can right click, go to Format Cell, and instead of changing it, because I'm not changing it, you can go to Alignment, and then you can go to Wrap Text. And it does that for you. So I can go medical paid expense experience expense paid legal paid rehab paid total paid. Yeah, now I'm going to make these a little bit bigger. Go back to 10 and if you want to widen something, you do it up like that. So it looks a little bit better. Not great. I can't believe I'm always doing housekeeping. There, fine, good. Let's just finish this. All right. Indemnity paid. We're already in column L. I like to keep things aligned like that. This is a cool function. Now, usually we do sum. You saw me do that before. Equals sum and give the range. However, in this case, we have criterions. Now, I could go up and track all the different rows for each year. That's the way I used to do it, but there's this cool function called sum if. Equals sum if. And you see on the screen it says you give it a range of criteria and then the sum range. So the original range is B2 to B839. That's the original range. The criteria is the year, and the range I want it to add up is directly above me, L2 to L839. I guess we could scroll up and see it. So there's the answer. But I want to click and drag it all over the place. So there's some things I have to do. So the original range, I need dollar signs in front of the the B and the 2, and then again the B and the 839. That means now if I drag it right to left, it's always going to stay in B. If I drag it up and down, it's always going to be 2 to 839. A dollar sign in front of either a row or a column freezes it when you try to click and drag. Now, as I move it up and down, I want it to go up and down. So right now it's 843. When I go down, I want it to be 844. But I want the column to always stay the same. And then for the top, as I drag it down, I always want it to be 2 to 839, but I want it to go left to right as I add up the different things. So I'm just going to freeze the 2 and the 839. So I have the same answer here. It's not the units I want, because it should be currency. Go back to the number. Currency, the nearest dollar. So there's my answer. Now, what I can do is I can click and drag everything. and I should have everything worked out here. I'm going to add everything up, and I'm going to compare it to what the totals are to make sure it's correct. And that's what I had just moved there. So let's scroll down, and here are the totals. 204,710, 204,710, 1,013,96, 1,013,90. So everything worked out. Everything equals out. And now look what I have. I've got this. Geez, am I going to bold this too? I suppose. Um, these seem too big though. Again, we're going to have to present these at some point. So at some point, this is going to have to look pretty. Here is how the company's doing. So let's take a look at this, shall we? So I'm going to do year and number of claims. I highlight both, insert, and I'm going to do a scatter plot. Scatter plots allow me to put in a best fit line so I can trend. Let's move it over here. Okay. As you can see, it went from 2008 to 2009, it went down, and then went up in 2010, went up in 2011, came down in 2012, and then really down in 2013. However, if you'll recall, we don't have a full year of 2013. It's only 2/3 of a year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove it. Now when I come over here and I look at it, it does come down in 2012, but here's what I can do. Again, I need to trend things. I'm going to right click on one of the data points, and I'm going to go add trend line. I just want to do it linear. How is the safety program doing? Overall, there's a trend of increasing the number of claims per year over the time period, excluding 2013 because it's an incomplete year. And we should look at the number of open cases as well. But that's going to get a little bit more sophisticated. And at this point, it's something you're going to want to look into, because if you have a year that has a decent percent, like over 10% of their cases are open, well, that's going to keep going up. From a dollar perspective, I'm sorry, not from the claim perspective. That's just pure year. So that's actually a good representation. You can get rid of the legend by just deleting it, and that's a cleaner looking graph. Shrink it down a little. Yeah. Now let's look at the dollar values. Now because the year's over here and this is over here, again, I don't want to use 2013. I just want to use 2012. And I'm going to scatter plot it. I'm going to have to insert the year into it. One of the unfortunate things. So I'm going to click on the data, go to select. Each series is going to have years added to it. So I need to go, my X values are going to be 8 through 12, because remember I excluded 13. Okay. Second series. Seems kind of annoying, doesn't it? I mean, you could do it one by one, enter one by one. Maybe I'll try to show you that in a moment. But it's good that while you're doing this, you get familiar with the graphing. Is that the proper term? Graphing functions of Excel. I mean, this is meant to be playtime. I mean, you shouldn't. It's not going to be so easy that you can, oh, I'll just do exactly as he does and everything looks great. No, you got to get in and get your hands dirty with this. That's how I learned it. I mean, nobody taught me. I picked it all up on my own. And YouTube has a ton of videos too. I don't think something's right. I don't. It doesn't seem right to me. I don't. That's not right. Can't be. Can't be. Can't be. I'm going to do it individually. Delete it. So, individually. Watch this. So, I'm going to just highlight these. Oh, I know what I did wrong. I know exactly what I did wrong. I'm an idiot. You're probably like, yeah, you totally are. Okay, so I'm going to do it with, I shouldn't do it with 13 in it. 13 is just a bad, okay. So indemnity, insert, scatter plot. Got to add the years to it. So I click on it, select data. I'm going to edit it. I'm going to give it its X values. I didn't have 2013 in it. It's 5 data points, not great. Okay, so now what I want to do is I need to make it so I can see my numbers, and then I can add the rest. So just right now it's indemnity. It's not going to be the title. So I'm going to go on here, right click, select data. And now what I can do is add. So I'm going to add the medical paid. I'm going to add the X values, X axis values, and I'm going to add the Y's. And I have another thing on my chart. I'm going to add another. The name is expense. The X values are the year. There may be an easier way to do this. I'm doing it manually. That's, again, how I taught myself. Hit OK. I'm going to add another one. Legal. Here. And again, this is excluding the outliers. It'd be very easy to go back and build one for the outliers. What do I have to add now? I got to add expense. Add. Or I'm sorry, rehab. Because I just done legal, right? And I'm also going to add total. Because we can look at all of them then. I'm glad that I was able to do that over the little screen. Okay, we're going to add one more. Because it's scatter plot, you can do this. If it was bar chart or things like that, which the representation's already in it, you can't, but we can do it with a scatter plot, because then we can trend. Because we have all the individual payments that'll be underneath. Oh, okay, let me do that. Okay. Let's see what we have. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't it? The question is, how is the safety program doing? I'm going to add some best fit lines here. Add trend line. Is that the one I already hit? Nope. These all look the same, don't they? I don't think they're going to look that different. I'm just going to try to add one more. I can't even see what I'm hitting. So these numbers are pretty low, or they're going up at a low rate. What is that? Indemnity. Indemnity is low, legal's low, rehab's low. Medical, on the other hand, is going up a lot. And as you can see, that's what's driving up the total paid. So, Mr. Safety Professional or Ms. Safety Professional, how is the safety program performing? Well, there is a very slight, very subtle increase in the legal rehab expense, and indemnity paid out each year. This is what the outliers removed, of course. I should have said that right away. But the medical is going up considerably, and that's what's driving up our overall costs. In addition to that, there seems to be an overall trend in the increase in the number of claims, even though there was a slight dip in 2012, again, not including the outliers. So therefore, this is an opportunity for us. If we can identify where to focus and how much we could save by really studying certain jobs for certain causes, I think we're going to be able to save the company considerable money. Exclamation point. You wouldn't do that. I was just trying for effect. But that's really the answer here. I didn't make this all pretty and write anything up. That's going to be your job. But I've got a real interesting find here. Now, one thing that was that I had brought up before. What if the outliers were still in it? Okay, I think I'm going to show you. So as you can, so you kind of look at it here, and they're fairly decent best fit lines. The dots are pretty close to the line, though there is some deviation. Same with here, there is some deviation, but it's not overall too bad. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go find my outliers. Where are they? Oh, there they are. And I'm going to highlight them. Cut. I really, really hope that they let me just insert them up there and that I didn't have to create the spot for it. Let's see if they let us do that. Oh, it's not by year though. Will that matter though? I don't think it will. Okay, so what I need to do is insert, insert cut cells. Okay, did that do the whole 250 or did it cover up that one? It should be 251. So it's 250 or 850. I'm sorry, 850. So the total paid, did it, it's not doing it because I froze it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, those are the. I'm going to see what happens when I come in here. And this is supposed to be B2 to B851. And it's still that one. That should not be that now. You know what I did? I never added the year. For those top ones. You see, there always is something. Right now, all I'm doing is trying to show you something. It's making the video longer, but I'm trying to teach you a few things that aren't evident until you try it. There's not too many of these. There. All right, let's go back down. Almost done with this video here. I just want to see. All right. Okay, so I have to add these things. Okay, so this went to 849 now. I fear that one was lost when I was trying to insert those. Well, I'm going to be deleting all this anyway, so I'm going to quick think that should do it. Now I should be able to click and drag, and it shouldn't actually equal out the total amount. I think it's a little bit shy of what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be 2338. 2339. There's something weird, but it gives an overall impression. And now let's look at these now that they've been populated. So there's a slightly more deviation, not a lot there, but we set at 12. But this is where it's significant. Do you see now the separation of the dots from the best fit line? You should. You could see what it, maybe go back and see what it was before, but see, dots moved considerably. That's why we removed the outliers. I wonder how far back I have to go. There it is. You see how tight together everything is? Do you see that? Okay, I hope you do. I think everything went back to normal here. Let's see. Are we all back to the 839 and all that stuff? What's up here? 839. Everything looks good. So it went back to normal. So this is where I'm going to save it. So there's a lot to talk about here as far as what's contributing to, first of all, how is the safety program going? Well, the trends indicate that the metal costs are going up considerably each year, even with the outliers removed. So out of this, this is a 60% representation here, really, and we're not including 2013. 2013 is not a full year. So the trend is what we're trying to show. How is the safety program doing? If the line's going up or staying steady, then we're not preventing the accidents from reoccurring unless they are completely new, but there's got to be a limit to that, right? So that's the end of that question, and I expect that you're going to write a lot about this and maybe make even additional graphs or tables to represent this.